Dave is here to present his children's book, Where Does Time Go?, which he wrote in honor of his mother, Patricia Ann. And joining him is the illustrator for the book, Erika Chan. Dave and Erika met while working for the LA Zoo. Fun fact. Please join me in welcoming Dave and Erika.
Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming. Hi. I'm Erika, the illustrator, and this is Dave. Wonderful Dave. If you haven't met us already, we're excited here to read our first public reading of our story. So I hope you enjoy. Here's Dave. We'll get started, and I'll share a little bit of the artwork, preliminary sketches that I did before all of the digital fun stuff, and followed by the signing. So after you, Dave.
Okay, me too. Sounds good. Okay. I should begin. Where Does Time Go? By Dave E. Keliher, illustrations by Erika L. Chan. When I was a young boy, long, long ago, I asked many questions, as children are naturally apt to do. But the question that arose in this particular day was not mine at first. It came about in this way. One Thanksgiving Day, our family gathered together to give thanks for all the good things we had. After the meal, the grown-ups sat in the living room talking about important things, like hibachi barbecues and lava lamps, while we played Red Rover outside. I'd entered the house to use the bathroom when I overheard my Aunt Sharon ask, "Where does the time go?" I really wanted to stay and hear the reply, but I had other business to attend to and couldn't wait. When I returned to the living room, I hoped to hear the answer to the question asked moments before. I hung around the passageway, but the conversation had turned to the television, where the Detroit Lions defense was upsetting my father considerably. That night, as I lay in bed, I could not stop thinking about time. I looked at the clock and watched the second hand go round and round. I got up and turned back the clock, and it seemed, as best I could tell in the darkness, illuminated softly by the clock, that I had set time back. There's no indication otherwise. So I set it back some more. And I continued to do this for quite some time, until I was awakened by my mom calling to me to get up and go help my father rake the leaves. I looked at the clock. It was only 4 a.m. Why was she waking me up at 4 a.m.? I went downstairs to the kitchen and asked, "Why do I have to get up so early?" "What are you talking about?" she asked. "It's 8:30. You've overslept as it is." "But my clock says it's only 4. "Your clock must be in need of repair. Now get some breakfast and go outside and help your father with the leaves." "Okay," I said. And then I asked, "Can you stop time? I've heard of time standing still." "Time stands still for no one," she said. "No one? Not even you?" "Not a soul, especially not me." That was news to me. I ate my breakfast and went out to do my chores. As I raked the leaves with my pop, I couldn't stop thinking about time. I asked, "Who is Father Time?" "He's Mother Nature's husband." "Oh, where do they live?" I asked. "Vermont." I stopped raking the leaves and my jaw dropped. I was astounded to hear such a thing. Father Time and Mother Nature live in Vermont? Yes, at least in the summertime. In the winter they go to Miami. Why Miami? The winters are too hard on them. They're very old, you know. "But how can—" "Keep raking," he said. I didn't finish my sentence because in my head my brain was spinning a gazillion miles an hour as I was thinking, how can winters be hard on Mother Nature? Is it winter one of Mother Nature's coats, similar to the fall coat, but heavier with much less color? I mean, weren't they the same thing? Jump in Jehoshaphat. This is something I had to tell my friend Luther. When I finished raking the leaves, I went over to Luther's house, where my other friend Teresa had just arrived. "Hey," I said, "guess what? Mother Nature lives with Father Time in Vermont." "What the heck are you talking about?" asked Luther. He was always skeptical. I repeated, "Mother Nature lives with Father Time in Vermont." "Who told you that?" asked Teresa. "My pop," I said. "Your pop also told you we have enough nuclear weapons to blow up the world 1,000 times, and we know that's stupid because why would anyone want to do that?" said Luther. "Yeah," said Teresa. "If you blow it up once, you got nothing to blow up after that. It'd be a big waste." I decided not to tell them about Mother Nature and Father Time going to Florida in the winter. They would just hassle me, and I didn't feel like being hassled. That night, while lying in bed, I was still wondering about the time thing. So I decided to go ask my mom. She had better answers than Pop. Years later, I found out she made up a lot of the answers too. I guess that's why they got along so swell. But that's okay. At least she listened to me. "Mom," I asked the next day, "where does time go?" She was standing in the kitchen peeling potatoes. I think she actually welcomed the break. She put down the paring knife and gestured for me to sit at the table. She replied, "Long ago I asked the same question to my mom, your Grandma Carmichael, and she told me that when we are born into this world we are given many gifts, but the most precious gift of all was time." "How much time do we get?" I asked. "Some of us are given a day, others a year or 20, and still others 100 or more. But how come we don't get the same amount?" I asked. "No one really knows. But it's not how much you get, but what you do with the time you have. There are some who live more fully in 10 years than those who live to 100. We shouldn't waste the time we have because we don't know if tomorrow will bring us any more." "Mean I may not have any more time? If that was true, I sure wasn't going to sleep tonight." "Don't worry. You only have so much time to spend, and if you spend it on worry, you won't get your money's worth." Is that what they mean when they say time is money? Time is not necessarily money itself, but you can look at time as something to be spent. And you don't want to spend it just anywhere. The real difference between time and money is you can always get more money, but you can never get more time. If I don't know how much time I have left, can I have the television put back into my room? I like to spend some time with it before I go. I don't think that's the best use of your time. That was debatable. But I decided not to argue the point. I asked, "Well, where does time go when the day is over?" "Time goes away to the land of memories, where it sits by the sea and waits for the rest of your time to come. And when all the time you have has passed, you will follow it and sit by the sea with all your memories and your friends and your loves and your losses." "How long will I stay there?" "Forever. Once you arrive, time ceases to be. In the land of memories, time is timeless." "Will you be there?" "Yes, I will, because I love you very much. So much of my time has been spent dreaming about having a child like you to love and to care for. Much of our time will be spent together. And for years to come, I will spend my time doing what I can to make you happy and keep you safe." That was good news to me. I like being happy and safe. "Where does your time go?" I asked. "My time also goes to the sea, where it will sit and wait for me. And when the time comes for me to go, I will be there, and you will continue to spend your time here." "Does time really heal all wounds?" I asked. "Time is a wonderful medicine, and it will cure all that troubles us. It is important to let time heal you while you still have time left to spend here. But some people resist and hold on to the troubles and refuse to let time make them better. In the end, we all go to the sea, where we eventually find peace." "How does time get to the sea?" "You've heard the expression 'time flies,' haven't you?" she asked. "Oh yes, of course, it flies," I said. I thought for a moment and then asked, "But doesn't it fly only when we're having fun?" "No, it flies all the time, all around us. Time is flying right now. It's hard for you to see at your age. And though your eyesight fades as you grow older, there are other things you can see much more clearly. Time flying is one." "What's another?" "Mistakes we have made." Suddenly a look of sadness washed over her face. "What mistakes have you made?" I asked. I didn't know mothers could make mistakes. The sad look passed as quickly and quietly as it had come. We all make mistakes. We should not be afraid to make mistakes. We should only fear not taking chances. "Oh." She looked at her hands. She looked at the potatoes to be peeled. She looked at me and put her hands out and brought me to her. She held me and stroked my hair and kissed my head and said, "I love you very much. Now go outside and spend your time being happy." I stood, and as we parted, I thought I saw time fly. This moment in time that we had just shared had left and was gone, on its way to the sea, where it was to wait for her, was to wait for me. I went outside. I decided not to tell Luther or Teresa what my mom had told me. Even though I wasn't all that sure what she said was true, I wanted to believe it was so. And I knew believing can make some things real. A rabbit taught me that. But most important of all, now that I've grown up, I have remembered that the time we have is a precious gift, and I've tried to spend it wisely and with care. Thank you, dear mother, for that. The end. Okay. This was written from my mother, Patricia Ann, whom I do love with all my heart. There are many reasons I wrote this for her. For one, she cared for me and did her darndest to raise me to adulthood in the best way she could, and I do say she did a wonderful job. Near the top of the list, I'd like to add two more. One, she potty trained me, and this is very important if you plan on working outside the household. And two, she taught me to read. I was not always a good reader. In the first grade, we had 3 reading groups. There were the Jaguars, who were fast and comprehended much. And there were the Elephants, who were not particularly fast, but at least could remember what they had read. And then there was a third group, the Sloths, of which I was one. Sloths not only read slowly, but spent a lot of time sleeping at their desks. I had a good reason for sleeping in my desk. I used to stay up late at night and watch Laurel and Hardy and Buster Keaton movies, which I thought were particularly funny. When my parents found out I was a sloth, they removed the television from my room, and then my mom sat me down and began to read with me. My dad would have helped, but he was usually busy polishing his shoes and preparing his lunch for work the next day. This took up a considerable amount of his time. The book my mom selected to read with me was Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. I believe it won the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature, which is why my mom chose it. She knew how important it was. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of reading it, I will say this in brief, that as a tale of conflict and woe that befalls a strange creature who is pursued mercilessly, a la Jean Valjean in Les Miserables, where an antagonist insists the protagonist eat a plate full of moldy and rotting green eggs, pilfered from some endangered species of bird, and ham, which is a euphemism for pig parts. Now everyone knows or should know that pigs are as smart as dogs, and you wouldn't eat your dog, would you? I should think not. It was reading this tome that ignited a spark in me for the written word and propelled me from Sloth the Jaguar. For 20 and many more years, my mom, who was also a librarian, continued to feed the fire by bringing home wonderful books, and she still does to this day. What a mom! And it's for these reasons mentioned, and many others not mentioned, that I tell this tale. It was told to me so long ago, and that is how this all began. Dave, middle son, Keliher. That's it. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Dave. Well, as if you haven't heard the story before, that's why I said yes to illustrating his book and working with him. So it made me tear up when I read it, and I'm tearing up seeing all of you here. And I guess this is I didn't realize this was going to be emotional because it's the first book I've ever illustrated, and I'm honored to have worked with Dave. Hi. But as the artist and local artist, I grew up shopping at the store and at the Hastings Ranch store with my mom, and she'd take me to get books. And moms are very special as well as dads. My parents are in the back of the room here. But if you'd like to see some of my artwork, my preliminary sketches, they're displayed here. I like to work traditionally, and I went to Cal State Fullerton. I have a reporter here that came from my school to cover this event as well. And sorry if you're camera shy, we have a lot of toys around the room. But I studied illustration and entertainment art there, and this is how I worked on a lot of my pieces. I would work in red pencil and then go into the computer and do digital stuff. I still do a lot of traditional things today. I feel it captures a lot of the natural gestures and lines like traditional animation does, and something to be appreciated this day and age. You know, a lot of things are digital, but a lot of magic happened with Disney, with then Pixar. There's Warner Brothers and Tim Burton, and how they inspired my life. And I see teachers and people that I've gone through school with, and my friends and family here bringing their children to enjoy this, and I really hope you enjoy the story. We have books up here. We'll be doing a signing. But I'd be happy to chat with you guys, and please chat with me and Dave. He's acting shy, but he really likes it. I met him working at the zoo, and he's a character, and thank you again for being here. Woo!
You guys want to do some questions?
No.
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question for Dave. How long was this story percolating in your mind? How long from when you started thinking about writing a story to actually doing it?
Actually, I don't like talking off the top of my head, so I did prepare answers ahead of time. So like, for example, an answer I have, for example, is my favorite color is sunset. Any other questions? This isn't working, is it? No, actually, that's a good question. Actually, maybe 20 years.
Really?
I'm only 25, but but for a long time. It's actually, because again, I wrote a speech about it, a little video on YouTube about talking about it, but luckily my parents, I mean, if I can read the answer, but my parents are very loving and caring and stuff like that, and I feel that I'm very grateful for all they've done for me over the years, and so the story started coming to me, and I started thinking about it. I think basically the gist of it is trying to thank her for what she had done for me and let her know how much I love her, and that's kind of the idea, but it's been quite a while. It took a long time to find Erika. She wouldn't return my calls. It was a nightmare, to tell you the truth. We are in litigation, by the way. We don't want to talk about that much, but...
Call me out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is great. I love the first time encountering it. You know, the question of time is one of those fundamental things that physicists deal with, right? It's a tremendous puzzle. And what's remarkable to me is you've connected with some of the very basic conundrums of this whole thing about time and why it exists and how and everything in a kid's book. I mean, it's fantastic, amazing, and I just congratulate you for that.
Would you like to buy a copy? Yeah, I find people, you know, there's a lot of times people walk in and say, "Oh yeah, I wrote a book," and you just go, "No."
Well, you don't know who you're influencing, some kid now who will later go on to invent time travel. Who knows?
Thank you. I give you an answer, but question would be yes. In college, I did major in English, but friends accept me for who I am.
Oh, God.
Any other questions?
Do you have any questions?
How'd you guys meet at the zoo?
Was it
Which
dark?
compound
Night?
were you in?
Oh, that's true, yeah. Should have been on my cage. Yes, true, yeah. Well, actually, I'm an AV technician there, and we both work in the education department. I was in education at that time, but it was very magical. Not too magical. Yes.
How long did the whole process of writing the book from when you and Erika got there?
No, it's been a couple of years at least. Well, maybe a year and a half or illustrations.
And getting the publishing stuff going through and printing, a couple of years.
Oh, yes.
What's next?
Oh, actually, there's I'm working on Nature and Father Time in Florida, and they get into timeshares. So teaching kids about investing and wasting their money. I haven't told Erika about this yet.
I'm ready for part 2.
Okay, let's tell some books.